You're listening to the Decentralized Talk Podcast, your crypto connection.
Decentralized Talk. Decentralized Talk.
All right, guys. Welcome to another outstanding episode of the Decentralized Talk Podcast, the best podcast in cryptocurrency where everything is made up and the points don't matter, just like Drew Carey's supporting actors. This is your place to break down crypto happenings and general bullshit in the crypto events influencing crypto culture. We are growing our audience every week over week, even in this bear market. And we want you to subscribe on your very favorite platform. Whether you're listening to us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Music, Spotify, or passively on YouTube, where we do publish, but we don't really take a whole lot of time with it. But if you like to listen to it in the car for free, that works out. All right, so let's get directly into the show, guys. We are excited to host Kristina Bruhahn of CoinGenius fame on our show tonight. She is the COO, that is the Chief Operating Officer, and co-founder, COFOUNDER, of the platform. And we are excited to be able to pick her brain this evening. So welcome, Kristina, to the show.
Thank you for having me. That was incredibly specific. I appreciate it. Well, thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to share a bit of CoinGenius and our parent company, Genius 15. Where would you like to get started?
Well, I guess let's just start at the beginning. How did CoinGenius come about? I mean, how long have you guys been around? And then we'll kind of dive into the specifics about, what exactly you guys do.
Certainly. Okay, so let's start here. So I have been in the space for about a year now. So you guys mentioned that you've been in the space for about 2 years, which is almost veteran status in terms of crypto. I've been in for about a year and have just completely rethought, what I thought organizations could be through this experience. But essentially about a year ago, a good friend of mine who I've worked with in the corporate capacity at Fortune 500 companies came to me and said, hey, let's do the sentiment analysis thing that we're doing for our brands, and let's do it for all of crypto. And my brain kind of had a spasm, and I was like, seriously, all of crypto? That's what you want to do? And he said, yeah, I'm sick of having to go to 17 different websites and decide if I want to make a trade. I need something that's real time in the palm of my hand, with information that I can act upon right now. We know how to do that. We know how to do the technology for that. So let's do that. And I proceeded to have an anxiety attack and then got on board about 24 hours later. So
Awesome.
So as the COO, let me enunciate that correctly. My life is essentially one long checklist. So for the last year, we've been going out to conferences and we've been meeting with investors. We've been meeting with business partners. We've been meeting with folks in the space, experts in trading, quant level traders. I mean, I've gotten such an education in the last year. It's just, it's ridiculous. So I think that Jeremy, our founder, Jeremy Bourne, was really onto something when he decided to name it Genius and to kind of put our brand around Genius. I will say that this team is the most intelligent people I've ever had the pleasure to be around, and just see this juggernaut team kind of take off and run with it is just really exciting. It's been a.
And you're talking about the podcast.
Sorry?
You're talking about, you mean like right now, like in this moment?
I think you lost her.
In terms of like the smartest, maybe I'm not. Okay. Not the smartest person you've met. That's not me.
Well, I will say that our CEO, Jeremy, he loves to use the expression that he prefers to be, he uses the phrase, the dumbest person in the room, but I don't think that applies to him. So I'm just happy to be surrounded by people who are just really subject matter experts. And I've learned a lot from them about what, the bleeding edge of technology is and where we can really push the boundaries. And when you're talking about taking something like AI, which is this nebulous concept, right? And you're saying, well, let's apply it towards crypto. What you're really saying is, let's take all of the information out there and funnel it through an ear and funnel it through a brain, what we call a neural network, and then put it out to a pipeline, or I call it the mouth, that gives you clean, normalized, digestible data. And we took that concept as an app first, and then it grew into an API, and now it's a web GUI and a marketplace and a tokenized economy and all of these crazy things that we don't necessarily need because we're a data and AI company. We're data and analytics. We don't need to be tokenized, but there's now this roadmap in front of us that is just, it's brilliant. And if you're a fan of crypto and you're a fan of blockchain and you understand that the transformative nature of this technology, it's something that you can get behind really easily. We're just taking this very, very first concept of this, very large ear to the world in any space, right? And we're just specifically tuning into crypto right now. So that gives us an advantage to essentially quantify and qualify a lot of indicators that don't exist in the space. And what we're doing is we're kind of just taking the same concepts that industrials and quants have for the traditional trading space and really moving in and out of the market at very rapid speeds. That doesn't exist for crypto yet because there's no clean normalized data. So that was kind of our first application of it. And just on our back testing, our results are just off the charts. So we're not trading on our data. We're simply a technology company providing data. But yeah, that's a little bit about what we're doing. I could talk about this all day, so I'll just let me put a pin in it on that one.
No, I think that's very exciting, and I think you covered quite a bit in a short, concise message. One thing that struck me about what you said is that you've been doing this for about a year. So tell me what it's like to start with a company in the volatility that we've seen kind of cascading, not kind of, but absolutely cascading over the course of this last year. Yeah. So you joined a company and then it looked like, oh my God, this is going to be the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh shit, this may be like.
Yes. That's an accurate description.
So tell me about that.
That is a really, really great question. And I would say my first response to that is that throughout this entire last year, I have never lost the enthusiasm for the technology and the message behind it to disrupt these institutions that don't have to be the way that they are right now. We've accepted them in our entire lifetimes because they were standardized and normalized, but we don't have to accept them as these institutions. So I'm not a trader myself. I've had to learn about, the trading philosophy and applications and AI and data science and all kinds of things that are now part of my daily vernacular. But I've never really lost heart. I've always believed in the message behind it. And once it reaches mass adoption, which is my goal, if I could see mass adoption in my lifetime, I'd be a happy camper. So I think
how do you define mass adoption?
Say that again?
How do you define it? When you say mass adoption, when CoinGenius is looking at mass adoption, how do you define it?
Yeah, no, I'm not even talking about CoinGenius. I'm just talking about crypto and blockchain in general for people to understand, the right to respect their privacy and their right to own their private data and have control of it and all of those things that you take for granted right now. When people understand
about that, I feel like I've been beating people over the head with take control of your privacy. Facebook has been like overtly. We talked about this.
And you just put the Minds right with the CEO from Minds, right?
Yeah, Bill Ottman, and Facebook has been beating people over the face with we don't care. We don't care. We're destroying we're taking your privacy and we're selling it to everybody, and it's. I don't know what the solution is, or how does a company like yours look into the future and say, what is the strategy? What is, if you've read the book Scaling Up, what is your big, hairy, audacious goal? What is your
two different things though, because you're talking about my personal feelings on it versus the company's feelings on it. So I will tell you really quick just to get it out of the way. My personal feelings on it is mass adoption is when my grandmother is fluent in this language and she understands what I'm talking about. Right. That would be mass adoption for me.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I'm from growing up on a farm, redneck background. It's why I love, some of the other players in the space. I'm sure you guys know Wild West crypto and all of that. And like just saying it can be for every person, right? It can be for every person. And it doesn't have to be this crazy mythical thing far off in the distance. No, you can touch it and you can understand it. And that's a big part of what we're trying to do at CoinGenius is quantify and qualify these things that make it so it's not rocket science. So the average person could be a retail trader. So the average retail trader could perform like an industrial trader. The average industrial trader, hedge fund, family office, whatever the heck, that they can perform in the crypto markets like a quant trader. When you can run algos and you create a marketplace for algos and APIs, you're essentially creating a community based on performance. I'm not kidding you when I tell you we can literally print money. I mean, my quant traders have broken it down to me like, Kristina, you know, a stock or an asset can only go in one of three directions: up, stay the same, or go down. And you can mathematically plan for all of those and preset those things. Once that exists, we can print money for everybody. Like it's, I get really excited about the possibilities. It's so exciting to see that something that I'm a part of could legitimately bring that into the world.
Yeah, it's exciting. Printing money is always exciting. So you did hit on that you're talking about different cryptocurrencies, and I think you said all cryptocurrencies. I mean that's a tall order because it's kind of an expanding universe. So I mean, have you tested this on different coins and all coins? I mean, how have you guys tested this?
Sorry, I don't mean to jump in there, but I kind of saw where you're going with that one. So, all right, let me tell you a little bit about our back testing, the math behind it. So it's actually a funny story. At the beginning of all this, I didn't have a whiteboard. And so I had to write out our conference calls with our data scientist on the side of my fridge. And Jeremy has now said this fridge can never, ever, ever be sold and will have to be in our offices because it is covered in the early days of CoinGenius concepts. And one entire side of that was dedicated to the data science portion of it. And essentially what our Dr. Sam Franklin, whatever your role is now, I forget, he's our lead data scientist, leading the charge on all things, mathematically derived. So he's my subject matter expert. And essentially what he said was, let's take this back testing coin market cap data. Let's just take a normal baseline, right? And then let me see if I can predict Bitcoin price to US dollars for the next day. 24-hour price corridor prediction was our test. And when he came back, I'm still floored by this. When he came back, it was over 90%. And he's like, there's no way that can be right. Because we use like an out of the box, it was called driverless AI, like an out of the box solution. He's like, there's no way that can be right. Let me run it through a custom neural network and I'll train it and we'll do this, that, and the other. And then we'll get some real results. It'll maybe be like 75%. And then we can really fine tune it from there. Okay, great. Well, then 2 weeks later, he came back and he's like, yeah, we're at 97%. So we would, with 97% accuracy, we could predict what the price of Bitcoin was going to be the next day. This has been accurate since April. And when this last crash happened, we had a massive dip in our accuracy. We went down to 77%.
Still 77%.
Exactly. The only thing that we can't predict, so basically the way our technology works is it's really, really great at like riding a straight line, kind of like a roller coaster. But when it hits a curve, we fly off the tracks and then we immediately jump back on and then we're good for the rest of it. But like curves are really hard for us. And if you think about black swan activities or like big swings in the market, right? Mm-hmm. Those are the things that we initially back in April, those were the things that we said, okay, we want to dissect this. How do we predict a curve? Well, that comes into quantifying volatility and stability and fraud and are they committing code to GitHub and all of these things that don't exist as quantifiable entities yet. We've run it through the math to make them quantifiable.
There has to be a base trend built from the past to justify what's happening in the future.
Yes, but our team predicted this. Sorry. Ron, this is all for you. You did this back in June. Ron, our chief quantitative officer, said Bitcoin is drastically overvalued. It's going to have a crash later this year. There's no way it can sustain itself at 16,000. There's just no way. There's too much. Like, he looks at order books and, you know, really where the money, like he looks way behind the curtain, right? Like that's why he's our chief quantitative officer, because he's really good at that stuff. But he was just on his, you know, bald assessment. He was like, it's way overpriced. It's going to crash. There's no way this can sustain. Maybe it'll make it to Q1 of next year. He said that in June. I mean, not that he's a prophet or anything, but I mean, mathematically, it made a lot of sense to me.
So, Kristina, are you making a lot of money on the platform? Are you investing like on the side in addition to?
What you're really asking is, why the heck would we give this away for yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, 97%.
It is the number one question that we get, which is, okay, if you're so good at this, why the heck would you ever give it away? And the answer to that is, you can make a lot more money when you give away your data and you enable others to use that as a platform for them to generate money. You can break that 10 billion, you know, level ceiling and get into the 100 billion. So ultimately, it's complete corporate greed. I'm just kidding. It's all about crypto for good and trying to make the world a better place and just putting this out there. We see a need for it. This is the very, very first application of Genius 15. Genius 15 is the intelligence engine. We can pivot this, and we already are pivoting this towards real estate, where you can define the true price of something in real estate. We're using a small subset in the Dallas or Austin real estate sector to actually define, like, what is a neighborhood worth. And that's kind of the same application of our technology into other asset classes. So this is applicable to oil and gas, pharmaceuticals, insurance, government and regulation, gaming, sports, betting, basically anything that's an asset and has a marketplace, we can tune into with our ear and put it through the neural network and give you predictive corridors and insights.
How long till you guys expand into those other? Do you guys take it out of cryptocurrency and expand into maybe medicine or maybe into
gambling or
real estate?
Oh man, I love that question. That depends. As the CEO, again,
I love that you're loving all my questions.
My life is a bunch of checklists. So I have a roadmap right now that gives us the roadmap for this CoinGenius application, which would essentially give us the API private in April, the API public in June, and the app/web GUI public in September of this year. Depending on the amount of money that I can raise, and I only need $3 million in the seed round right now, with equity in the partner company Genius 15, not CoinGenius, not the first application, but the actual intelligence engine behind all of it. If I can raise that $3 million, then we get on to our next step and we start raising our other series rounds and things like that. That allows us to expand. I don't know if you guys know this, but we're a very bootstrapped team right now. There's only 2 of us that are doing this full time because we have to keep our operating costs really low so that we can afford to go out to these conferences and get the word out.
Yeah, I think that's all of crypto, though. I mean, I think all of crypto. It's crazy when you get down to it. I mean, there's Ethereum, which are doing whatever the hell they're doing, and then it's like everybody else is like, it's like 3 people, and it's just 3 really dedicated, passionate people.
Brilliant, genius people. We have 15 of them, but well, technically 12 now, but the early team had 15. When you get 15 geniuses, it's amazing what can happen in a room.
Oh yeah, no. Back when we were interviewing people back in January, the teams were huge. I mean, they would have teams 30, 40, 50 people. Now most of the people that we interview, they're small teams because they're trying to focus on marketing and getting their name out there right now while building in the background.
We went opposite, and that was really important to Jeremy, is he saw the movement in 2016 where people paying like $30, $50 million for a white paper. And he's like, okay, there's a lot of money to be made, but no one's going to take us seriously until we can actually do the technology that we say we can do. You can't just dream up something and put it on paper these days. Now you have to.
I'm really glad that you said that, because I think there, like over the course of this last year, there was a shitload of people making money off of it's a white paper.
Oh man,
okay,
I met some of them this year, like some of the bad actors, and they're doing it in conferences. Like they're like, it's the greatest conference ever. No, that is snake oil all the way. Yeah. And that's also part of what we're doing. We're quantifying those ICOs and those STOs that are like snake oil and be like, yeah, I don't think so. Let's just short them on the way out, and let's get them out of the way so that the real big boys can actually make some change in the world.
That's good. That's really good.
But
So,
you need our API
Kristina,
in
what
order
did you do
to
before
have
this?
strategy there. Oh, I didn't tell you guys this. Sorry, super excited. Our app, sorry. So our API is like our first big piece, because from a technical roadmap section, I mean, you have to have your API in place, and then you can kind of like pipe it into a front-end facing system with the web GUI in the app. But I have a mock-up of the app if you guys would like to do like an online demo. And I highly encourage any of your listeners who are interested in learning more about it. We'll be setting up like regular cadence type of demos to kind of be a social outreach of like, you can trade in crypto and it's not scary, and we can teach you how to do it and help you quantify it, create a community where there's other traders that want to teach people and aren't trying to make a buck off of it. Or on the flip side, with our API marketplace, if they just create an API that you're in an algo that just runs with it because their trading strategy is so strong, you can just piggyback on them. You don't even have to know what you're doing in the trading space. You go, yep, I'm just going to put my money right there. Oh, wow, that's way better than 3 to 4% that I got on my, ROI with my 401k.
Mm-hmm.
So Kristina, so what do I pay for? So when I get in bed with CoinGenius and broadly in
Whoa.
AI driven,
Back it up, buddy. Back it up.
You gotta at least go on a date first.
Right? Like, hold on.
Yeah. So what do I pay for? Like, how are you monetizing this?
That's a great question. I do love all your questions. Okay, so several actual multiple monetization opportunities. First and foremost, keep in mind that the real guts behind all of it is the platform. It's the intelligence engine. This is just the first application. So let me talk to you just about the monetization opportunities with CoinGenius. First and foremost, you've got an API that delivers clean, normalized, and quantifiable data that can be ingested into backends like institutional and quant levels have. We give L2, whatever, Ram can talk about the rest of it. It's an L2 something. So it's important because folks out there, they'll know what I mean by that, and it's a big deal. But it allows you to ingest on a 60-second latency. Our API right now, the private beta that's going to go out in April and make sure that we're ready to give this to the world in June, that's going to go through 2 months of stringent testing with multiple, very short list of clients. It's mostly clients I've already talked to and networked with this year, and I believe in what they're doing and that they're going to use their powers for good and things like that. But if you're interested, feel free to reach out to me. You can always get a hold of me at Kristina@genius15.com. That's Roman numerals XV. It's complicated, but hey, if you really want to get a hold of me, that's how to do it. The roadmap to the app and to allowing everyone to be able to trade at the same just like intelligence level that an industrial or a quant trader might have, that's a bigger step for us, because day traders, people who are experienced in the trading community right now, they'll know how to take our tools and just run with it. But I'm really interested again in that mass adoption, again, and getting my grandma kind of on board. I mean, like, anyone can do this and it will give you a better return than your stupid 401k does. And trying to get almost everyone into a space where they go, hey, it's not scary to be over here. And I know that because I've looked at the performance of, the suite of tools that CoinGenius is providing, and the metrics speak for themselves. That's really where I'm just trying to put it out to the world that this is not a very complicated.
Like, what am I going to pay for? Like, what am I paying for? Like a monthly subscription to be able to have access to the AI, or would I be paying for?
So basically the tiers, the monetization tiers. Thank you. The monetization tiers with the API, essentially our price point for 2019 is $1 million to plug into your backend, and you can do whatever you want with the data. You can take our our predictive corridors or not. You can run your own algos on it, do it whatever you want. Again, print your own money. We don't care. Just take it. That's the API. The app itself will have tiers of subscription per service, and we have services per coin. So depending on the package level of what makes sense to you, whether you want to only get information on the coins that you're actively trading. Or if you have something that's on your, okay, let me keep an eye on this. So I'll pay to get updates and like literally real-time updates where news happens, where a regulation has passed, or an article comes out, and you can see, what we call them event triggers, essentially, where you can see an impact to the market. Those are the type of things that we would then pass along to you for the coins that you care about. Again, those type of services would be stability, volatility, community, sentiment, fraud, manipulation, all kinds of things that you can quantify once you start to dig behind the scenes.
Yeah, so more fundamentals instead of just technical analysis, because I feel like most of crypto uses technical analysis, but fundamentals are difficult.
Oh, it's completely sentiment driven. Are you kidding me? There's so much FUD and like FOMO.
Oh, yeah.
And so much. It's almost a herd mentality. And you've seen that
Definitely.
here in the last Q4. You've seen everyone kind of freak out. And I think a lot of the paper money, the people, and this is not me, this is Rom saying this. I'm just quoting people who are smarter than me. But essentially you're saying
Always smart to do.
you're gonna see a lot of the paper money, the people who are speculative back in 14, 15, 16, and left their money in there or hodled it or whatever you want to call it. But they left money in there. And he said, you know what, 16,000, I'm good. I'm just going to cash out here. And I actually spoke to someone who did this and was just like, do you have any investment opportunities for me? Because she's rich on Bitcoin now, but she put it all into USD. Anyway, moving forward is Ron was like, back in June again, he was like, the paper money's going to leave in like Q3, Q4, probably late Q4, probably right around Christmas. Again, I'm like, where is your crystal ball, dude? Are you kidding me? He was like defining our algorithms to be able to predict this stuff. But anyway, he totally predicted that the paper money would leave and people would cash out. But in his opinion, it paves the way for the real players, the real Goldman Sachs, the real movers and shakers who want to get into this space. It gives them a point of entry to really
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like it just gets the BS out of the way, I guess is the nicest way to say it. I'm all about that. Like, let's identify the BS, get it out of the way, and allow crypto and blockchain to just leap forward decades. You know what I mean?
Definitely. With any new asset, there's going to be a lot of speculation involved, and I think it just reached a broader audience in 2017, and so that was kind of bound to happen.
We call that critical mass as well. So we're actually quantifying critical mass on social media and just like media networks as well. Once Ethereum is so much in the news, it reaches a critical mass where it's common knowledge for people. That is also an indicator for us to be able to give performance. Tron wasn't on anybody's like list of vernacular a year or two ago. And now it's like, they're one of the biggest players in the space. So you have to kind of appreciate from a digital age to quantify that digital knowledge.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I want to take a step back to something you said earlier about the day traders, and they'll be able to take off running with this information when y'all put it out there and kind of hit the ground running. For the people that aren't going to be able to do that, are y'all going to provide any sort of training or classes or anything inside the app that'll help them, adopt it and move forward with the information that's provided in it?
Okay, I hate that question.
Ouch.
Finally found one she hated.
Yep.
Here's my philosophy on this. I am the loudest proponent in the organization that we need to help the little guy. We need to provide training opportunities. We need to get them away from these people who are trying to get their hooks in them and saying, pay me 50 grand and I'll teach you how to trade. Like, we need to do something just out of my search for the greater good. That's my big platform on it, is to do something about that. Truly, from the CoinGenius roadmap, we can't commit to doing that. I am all about creating a community where we can have an online platform so that other people can teach other people. I can't take that onto my checklist, and it kills me because I care so much about it. I have learned, and this experience over the last year has opened my eyes that it's not that complicated. Man, if I can figure it out, like anyone can figure it out. So, I mean, I'm a big proponent to shout it from the rooftops that everyone should feel empowered to get involved in this. I wish I could say yes, but right now I can't have that on my roadmap. If you help me reach out to the masses and we can get some investments and we can have, we're completely, cash positive in a year from now, then absolutely I would love to have that on my roadmap.
Yeah, definitely. So speaking of the roadmap, now we've talked about the app. Do you guys have any release dates set or any kind of anything like that?
We do. So our private beta will be available in April. My team has said April 1st. I'm going to say April 15th, tax day. We're going to draw a line right there. So April 15th, I'm going on public record that our private API will be available. That means we will have selected maybe 10 candidates to plug into the API, ensure that everything is performing the way that they expect to, have 2 months to remediate any QA issues, and then be able to roll that out to the public in June. That means we can publicly sell the API in June. But to reach the masses, we really have to do the app and the web GUI and creating that marketplace there. And that's going to happen in September, unless I get a whole bunch of money and then I can accelerate things by throwing resources at them.
What is the price of Bitcoin going to be in a month?
Well, now you're talking about a different corridor. So it's funny that you bring that up, because we took our 24-hour corridor and we said, well, if we can do 24 hours, then we can definitely scale it back to do 6. So we're doing 6-hour corridors. We'll eventually get down to 1, but we need a data science team to help flesh that out. And then we've also gone on the flip side and said, what is it going to be a week from now? And I think that number is 168 hours, if I remember correctly, to understand what the closing price might be in a week. And you can understand that from a mathematical standpoint, that increases a whole lot of risk because it's a lot of speculation. So we're not going to release that as an actual service until we get it right from the math side.
So when you guys say 97% accurate, 97% accurate to what, I guess?
Sure. It's 97.5 actually. And that is the price of Bitcoin to US dollars within a 24-hour period. We have a clock that ends at the same time every day. And that is because crypto never closes, right? So you have to account for the 24-hour nature of it. So essentially we have the same closing price and it's within almost a nanosecond.
So, all right, so give me 24 hours. So right now it is 9:44 p.m. Central Standard Time on the 4th of January 2019. Let me see it. I want to see it. I want to know what is the price of Bitcoin at this time mañana.
You did hear the part where I said that data is worth $1 million, right?
I think the advertising from this podcast would be $10 million.
$10 million.
Hold on just a second, because we have it by 5 exchanges right now. Hold on.
I'm rooting for you.
I don't have it on that one. Hold on, I have to log into my other. This is why we're migrating email accounts.
But I think honestly. So there's a story about AstroTurf. I don't know if you've ever heard about how AstroTurf came around, but it's the guy who invented the turf. Finally, he was trying to sell it all around the country. This fake grass, and he got to the Houston Astros. And the owner of the Houston Astros said, okay, you can put it in our stadium. He said, okay, I'm going to put it in the stadium. We'll try it out for the first year. They tried it out for the first year. At the end of that year, the guy from the grass company said, hey, Mr. Owner of the Astros, I've come to a conclusion. I came to a number. It's going to be $5 million for the installation of the newly named AstroTurf in your facility. And the owner of the Astros said, "That's coincidental because that's exactly how much I was going to charge you for the advertising of having your turf in our stadium." And they called it even. So, so to that end, I think it would be amazing. I would love for you guys to make the price prediction, to have it come out correctly. That would be amazing for our show. That would be amazing for your product. And it'd be no one could say anything. It'd be great.
I agree, and I realize that this is taking a huge risk because, again, this is not public information. This is not part of the offering that exists at the moment. It will be. It definitely, the price corridors is absolutely going to be a feature that is available in June once the API is public. It will definitely be even farther refined by the time we get to September and it's out on the app for the retail traders. So here's the point that I need to say this just to protect my team, because my team is a team of geniuses.
Sure.
This is where the algo sits today. This is ridiculously accurate. And as I'm looking at this number, I'm like, yep, I would agree with putting that number out. But what I do want to say before I give you the number here, and I have to give it specifically to the exchange. What we did in back testing with this, so we took these 5 exchanges, we took 4 months of this exchange data, and we took 4 months of back testing, and we ran a very simple arbitrage exercise against these 5 exchanges. Had we been trading on these 5 exchanges, and had we had this information at the time that this was public, what could we do with it? And so we did a very simple arbitrage exercise against the 5 exchanges. And again, I am just getting into this realm, so I apologize if I say this incorrectly, but our alpha was over 40, and we had to make a decision within the company that we would only publicly surface alphas that are 20 and under.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with alpha. I don't know. That's something for standard deviation?
A 3 would be really great. Like an alpha, my understanding of the concept is essentially if you put $100 in, what could you expect to return? And we had a 40-to-1 return ratio. So if anyone wants to correct me on that, happy to put that out there. Educate me, please, by all means. But this was just very simple arbitrage with very, very low risk. I mean, almost from an algorithmic standpoint, almost it was applesauce for Ram to walk through. I mean, it was nothing. He was like, let me just throw this at it. And he's like, guys, we're really onto something. So we had to make a decision at that point. Do we trade on our own data, or do we decide to put this data out to the world? And that's when that was one of the conversations that allowed us to really solidify that we're doing something right here. I mean, the math speaks for itself. So with that said, the answer to your question, the Bitcoin price, this is of 3 hours ago. This is January 4th, 2019 at 2:34 p.m. Pacific time. And this is specifically to Kraken. The Bitcoin to USD at 12 a.m. UTC tomorrow, the Bitcoin to USD on Kraken price will be predicted at $3,862.67. The average daily prediction error, or the MAPE, for the past 30 days is 3.16%, and the average daily prediction error, or the MAE, for the past 30 days is $115.51. The neural net ran, nope, you don't care about that number. That's not going to mean anything.
Yep.
So
No, I'm
97.5% accurate. It's an AI-based learning system. Is it safe to say that it should become more accurate over time as it learns more about the market?
Absolutely. That is okay. So first of all, everyone goes Skynet, right? So that we are not creating Skynet. I promise. That is.
Well, I mean, all AI kind of learns from itself.
Skynet.
If you, I mean, to quote people smarter than me that I've met at these conferences, if you train AI for good with your values, it will reciprocate your values out into its code. Like, you have to train the models. It's very similar to raising children. Like, try not to traumatize them, you know?
Absolutely.
Well, I loved it. Kristina, I really appreciate your time. You've been fantastic. I hope to have you back on the show. I hope to have Jeremy and the rest of your team on the show. It's very something special that you're doing. Trying to quantify something as abstract as a meme or somebody's emotions.
Oh man, we're so good. We can tell the difference between sarcasm. Like, it's such a fine, granular science, and like the results are crazy. It's ridiculous.
It's amazing, and the terrifying thing about that is it really is kind of like, it is kind of like Skynet. Like, once AI figures out how to emulate emotion.
Oh God, it already exists. Are you kidding me? There's people that you chat with online for your help desk things. Those are all bots. They're just emulating human emotion. They're not real people.
You telling me all my Twitter followers don't?
No.
all of yours. Yes.
Yeah, all of
For example, I don't know. I'm trying to pick an airline that I had to reach out to their customer service recently. But like, if it's like, hey, here's our virtual assistant, Siri or whatever, that's all bots. That's all trained.
Amazon does that a lot now too.
Yeah, very much, yes, because it cuts down on their FTE overhead and they don't have to pay as much. Greedy corporate, no.
Oh, we've done a few episodes on AI. It's an interesting topic for sure. And you guys are using it in an interesting way, definitely.
Well, we're definitely big believers in crypto for good. I definitely want to get this product out to the people who really need it. There are family offices and hedge funds out there that is like, I would get involved in crypto, except there's no real way to ingest it in a clean way that fits into our back end. Like, they don't want to go scour 17 websites either. So this is the solution.
So Kristina, when we find people who are willing to take the leap, in the course of our podcasts, communications, Heston, the Bitcoin backpacker, is going to Thailand here in a couple of weeks to start a backpacking trip, and we'll be going to a lot of different conferences. When he meets people at these conferences that are looking to save themselves time and energy associated with scouring, like you said, all these different websites, where do they find you at? Where can they reach out to you guys? How can they get more involved in your platform?
Absolutely. I love that question. Okay, now we're back to good questions.
Damn it, I'm on three. I'm 3 for 3.
So I am incredibly transparent about my communication. You guys can get a hold of me anytime. I have my phone with me all the time, and I'm going to go so far as to give you guys my personal phone number. So if anyone wants to be involved in the beta, get a pre-sale API seat locked in for $1 million for 2019, because the price will go up as people understand how lucrative this is. If they want to become an investor, if they want to participate in the very short list of curated beta testers for the API, or you'd like to be part of our pool of beta testers for the app and the web GUI, if you want to contribute content to the API into the web GUI marketplace, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at Kristina, that's Kristina at Genius15. That is GENIUSXV.com. My personal phone number is 206-859-7354. You can reach me anytime, night or day.
We got a lot of sickos that listen to this show.
I'll screen them.
Just letting you know. No, I'm not. I'm just teasing. I mean, I don't know. They might be.
I actually, the reason that I feel fine about putting my phone number out there is it's on every business card that I have put out for the last year plus. Like, everyone knows the fastest way to get a hold of me is to just text me directly. So if you're horrible, I'll block you. It's fine. It's all right. Technology.
Yeah, nowadays.
You block them. If they're serious, serious about $1 million investment.
Get a hold of me. You are the person I want to talk to.
Right. Well, we love it, Kristina. We appreciate you coming on the show, and we appreciate everything you guys are doing for the crypto space. We at the Decentralized Talk podcast feel that a rising tide lifts all boats, and we hope to be able to help lift you guys up, and we hope to be able to grow together in this space. And we look forward to seeing your platform grow. And frankly, I'm excited to see you guys in crypto. I'm excited to see you guys apply the algorithms to be a competitor with things like Redfin in the real estate space. So really excited. And we hope you would join us again. We appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate that so much. You guys are going to have to send me an email update about 24 hours from now and let me know how that went.
Oh,
I'm sure
definitely.
you're
I'm
watching-
sure you're watching like a hawk.
I'm like, that's a big risk, man.
Yeah, I love it though. I mean,
No worries.
I mean,
Either way, and honestly, the prediction, it probably is going to be around there. I don't see anything crazy happening.
That I looked at it too, and I was like, should I say it? Should I not? And I was like, I would agree with that prediction.
Me
So
too.
the crazy
Yeah.
part between the 5 exchanges, they're not off that much. They're off by like, 20 cents or 72 cents, but you can take advantage of those tiny discrepancies to really make a ton of money and start literally printing money out there. So the folks that know how to do that, please come get a hold of me because you need our data.
love it. Kristina, thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Alrighty, guys. Well, that about wraps things up for this episode of The D. Be sure to tune in next week when we decide whether or not that prediction was accurate. And we're looking forward to finding out that it was. Next week, we're going to have something cool for you. This week was pretty cool. Find out if it's interesting or not. Heads up. My prediction, it is.
97% success rate.
Stay decent, cryptos.